Everyone, this is Helloangel.design. Today I'm going to show you how to make a very easy, simple dress for your kids or loved one. I designed the top dress with a ruffles and a zigzag lace, and I also did the same thing at the bottom edge, but I did not add the ruffles at the bottom edge. I used a different lace right here, but the same zigzag lace that I use for the top, and I also use it for the skirt. And it's an invisible zipper at the center back. For the lining, I did not top stitch, I used hand stitch. You can top stitch at the waistline, or you can use hand stitch to stitch that in place, which is also very beautiful. So I will show you another pieces that I make right here. This is how these also look: a zigzag lace and a lace, a different lace for the top. And I also do the same thing with the skirt. You can see how that is. And for the back, I use a normal zipper. You can use a normal zipper or an invisible zipper for the center back. So this is how it look right here. But for today, I'm going to show you how to make this. For this dress I'm going to show you today, the ruffles will be on the top right here, and the ruffles will also be on the skirt at the bottom edge in a zigzag lace. If you have not subscribed, don't forget, click that red button, and after that click the notification bell, so that anytime I upload new video, you will be the first person to be notified. If you have any question, don't forget to put it on the comment section. If you're just stopping by, thank you so much for watching. Before you exit the video, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get started. Before we start to put the dress together, first thing that you have to do, cut a piece of fabric. The width that I have here is 2 inches. Take it to your ironing board. Make sure you iron your interfacing inside. So I have already done that. I iron my interfacing inside. I fold inside 1 centimeter, and I fold the other side 1 centimeter, because this will be at the front of the dress. So you make sure you do that and give it a very nice press. Once you have done that, also cut another pieces of fabric. The width is 2 inches. Take it to your sewing machine. Fold inside 0.5 centimeter, and then fold it again 0.5 centimeter. By this time, you're going to hem your piece of fabric. Take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down. Once you have done that, turn to the other side. Set your sewing machine to the longest stitch. We are going to gather it, and you just top stitch it all the way down. Once you have done that, then we cannot gather it and attach it on the top dress. So go ahead and top stitch. I have top stitched my ruffle. I have hemmed the ruffle, and I also gather it all around. You can see this is how it is. I just cut it into 2. So the next thing that you have to do, the piece of fabric that you iron your interfacing, you put it at the center of the top. This is the mid part of the top. You just place it like this. Make sure when you're doing this, you take your top to your ironing board and press along, so that you know the mid part of your top. Go ahead and pin it all together. Once you have done that, the next thing that you have to do, turn it this way and place your ruffle inside. Make sure your ruffle is a little bit out like that. This is how it will look. You can either just take it to your sewing machine and give it a top stitch all the way down, very close. Or if you want to attach a zigzag lace or any lace of your choice that you have, you just place it inside like this. You see the way it is. You can decide how much you want your zigzag lace to show. If you want it to show more, you just push it out. If you want it to show less, you just push it in. So you just go ahead, once you place it like that, go ahead and pin it all together at the same time. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down. Make sure it's very close to the edge. Once you have done stitching, also do the same thing on this other side. Place your ruffle inside. If you want to attach any lace or zigzag lace of your choice, place it the same way I showed you right here, and also give it a top stitch all the way down. So go ahead and top stitch. I have top stitch. This is how it look right now. The next thing that you have to do is to put the back on the top of the front. We are going to stitch the shoulder seam. Go ahead and pin that in place. And then you will take your lining. So this is my lining. Put the both shoulder seam in place. Make sure both front of your fabric are facing each other. Just go ahead and pin the both shoulder seam together. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down, and then you will take your made top, go ahead and stitch the both shoulder seam in place. Once you have done that, then we can stitch the neckline and the armhole together. I have stitched the shoulder seam in place, and I did the same thing with my lining. I pressed the seam apart. For the center back, don't forget, measure inside ½ an inch. I have done that already. You can see my ½ an inch right here, my marker. Once you have done that, then place your lining on top of it. Make sure both fronts made top and both front lining are facing each other like this. This is my front top and this is my front lining. They are facing each other. You are going to pin around the both armhole and neckline. Go ahead and pin around the both armhole and neckline. So when you're pinning, leave ½ an inch for your zipper. But if you are attaching your buttonhole, just stitch it all around because you're going to lap it on each other. But if you're attaching a zipper, leave a gap, ½ an inch, and then continue from that where the ½ an inch end and stitch it all the way to the other side. So go ahead and pin it all together, and then we can take it to our sewing machine and top stitch. I have pinned around the both armhole and neckline. The next thing that you have to do, take it to your sewing machine, stitch the both armhole and the neckline. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. So go ahead and top stitch. Once you have done that, turn your dress inside out and give it a nice press. I have stitched the neckline and the armhole. Make sure you turn it inside out and give it a nice press. And for the neckline, and also make sure you snip around the curved edge so that when you iron it, it lies very flat, just the way this is right now. Don't forget, always iron your dress when you're making one. The next thing that you have to do is to put the both side seam of the top together. You just put them together like this and pin the both side seam together. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, stitch the both side seam of your top together. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. Once you have done stitching, also take it to your ironing board and give it a nice press. So go ahead and top stitch. I have stitched the both side seam of the top. I turn it inside out and give it a nice press. This is how it looks. The next thing that you have to do, you take your skirt The skirt length is 9.5 inch. The width is 40 inch. And I cut another pieces. The length is 3 inch. The width, make sure you cut a long piece of fabric so that you can gather it on the bottom edge. But if you don't want to gather any ruffles on the bottom edge, what you have to do, just add that 3 inch to 9.5 inch. That means you have 11.5 inch by 40 inch. If you're using centimeter, you cut 24 centimeter by length, and then you cut 102 centimeter by width. And then you will cut another piece of fabric that will be the ruffles that you're going to attach on your dress. You will cut by length, you cut 7.5 centimeter. And make sure you cut a long piece of fabric so that you can gather it. But if you don't want to attach any ruffles on your bottom edge, so you will cut 31.5 centimeter by length and 102 centimeter by width. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain right here. The next thing that you have to do, take your skirt to your sewing machine, set it to the longest stitch, and stitch it all around because we are going to gather the skirt. Once you have done that, then we can now gather it on the top dress. I have pinned my skirt all around. I have gathered it also. Take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. Once you have done that, you can use zigzag to overlock the raw edges, or if you have serger, you can also use serger to overlock the raw edges. So go ahead and top stitch your skirt on your top dress. I have stitched the skirt on the top. This is how it looks. The next thing that you have to do, put them together. I'm going to take a measurement where I'm going to attach my zipper. So I will put them together like this. I will first pin the waistline together, just like this. I want it to be equal. So I will take my measuring tape and then measure where I want my zipper to end. So I will place my measuring tape like this, from the very top like this. So I'm going to take a measurement of 9 inch. I'll take a measurement of 9 inch. And I will just put my pin right here, and then take my marker. I will give it a mark like this, 9 inch, 9 inch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this together and top stitch. So just go ahead and pin it all the way down. I have pinned it in place. This is how it is. The next thing that you have to do, take it to your sewing machine, continue from the 9 inch where it ends, and just stitch it all the way down. Once you have done that, then you take your piece of fabric. So this fabric, you're going to gather it on your skirt. First thing that you have to do, you pin it together. You just pull the both sides seam together, give it a top stitch all the way down. You're using your normal stitch right now. Give it a top stitch. Once you have done that, then also go ahead and hem your pieces of fabric. You hem it all around. Once you have done that, then you turn to the other side. Set your sewing machine to the longest stitch and stitch it all the way down, because we are going to gather this piece of fabric on the skirt. So go ahead and top stitch, Put the both sides seam together, top stitch, hem your fabric, and then set your sewing machine to the longest stitch and top stitch it all around. I have stitched the center back, and I use the opportunity to stitch my zigzag lace around the bottom edge. You can go ahead and do the same thing, but if you're not attaching any zigzag lace on your dress, just go ahead and gather your ruffles all together. I have also gathered my ruffled, and I have hem it all around. This is how it look right now. The next thing for you to do is just for you to place it on your dress. Make sure both front of the fabric are facing each other. You just go ahead and pin it all around. So I will just turn my dress like this and just go ahead and pin the ruffles all around. I have pinned my ruffles all around. This is how it look right now. The next thing that you have to do, take it to your sewing machine, stitch it all around. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. Once you have done stitching, use zigzag to overlock the raw edges. If you have serger, go ahead and use your serger to overlock the raw edges. I have top stitched the ruffles in place. This is how it is, and I overlock it with my serger, and I turn the seam towards the skirt and give it a top stitch all the way around. This is how it look. The next thing that you have to do is to insert your zip, or if you're using a buttonhole, go ahead and start inserting your buttonhole. First thing that you have to do, once you turn your dress like this, you take your zipper. This is my zipper. Open it all the way to the end. You turn your zipper like this. Place your zipper at the very top and pin it all the way down. I have pinned it all the way down. The next thing that you have to do, go ahead and zip it all the way up like this. This is the center back and the waistline of the top. You take your marker, you mark it. Just give it a mark. You're marking your zipper, not your dress or your top. Just give it a mark like this. Once you have done it like that, open your zipper. So you open it like this. So when you're going to pin it on this side, turn your zipper, start from the waistline. This is the waistline of my dress. Start from the waistline because you've already marked it. So when you start from the waistline and pin it all the way down, and when you're going to top stitch, the waistline will be the same. So this is the most easiest way to make your waistline equal. So pin it all the way down. Once you have done pinning it like this, thread your needle. Just go ahead and thread your needle. This is my needle. I will first use hand stitch to stitch it all around, and I will remove all these pins and take it to my sewing machine and use my invisible zipper foot to top stitch all around. So go ahead and use hand stitch first before you take it to your sewing machine and stitch it all around, because if you place it like this and you're stitching, the pins always get on the way. So this is how I always stitch my dress when I insert a zipper on my dress or any dress that I am making. So I have stitched the invisible zipper at the center back. This is how it looks right now. This is how it is. The next thing for you to do is to use your lining to cover the raw edges of your invisible zipper. What you're going to do, turn your dress inside out like this. Then this is my invisible zipper. I will turn my lining on the side. You can see how it is. You just turn your lining. And then you come down to the waistline, fold inside like this and place it at the waistline. You can see my marker right here, my pink marker. Use it to cover the raw edges, and then you pin that in place. You just go ahead and pin it all the way down. This is how it will look. Then what you're going to do when you take it to your sewing machine and stitch, so you just do it this way. So when you're stitching, you start from the neckline. This is the neckline of the center back. You start from the neckline, stitch it all the way, and stitch it all the way down. This time when you're going to stitch it in place, you're also using your zipper foot. This is a normal zipper foot. The first time when you stitch your invisible zipper, you use your invisible zipper foot. So go ahead, start from the neckline right here. You start from there, you stitch it all the way down, and then you stitch it all the way to the end here. For the zipper, if your zip is too long, just like mine, cut a piece of fabric, use it to cover the raw edges of your zipper. So go ahead and stitch that in place, and your dress is finally ready. I have stitched it in place. This is how it finally looks inside. You see how beautiful that is. The next thing for you to do is just for you to hand stitch the lining, or you can also take it to your sewing machine, fold it inside, and top stitch along the waistline. This is the final look of this dress. If my tutorial has been helpful, don't forget to thumbs up, make a comment down below if you have any question. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a blessed day. Bye.